how our parents raised us, they were tough love. They wanted to make sure that we used yes, sir, no, ma'am, open the door. In California, sometimes you say yes, sir to somebody and you actually get in trouble for it. Again, some of the things that we came to East Texas and saw, and we're like, oh.
Well, what about your parents? What is kind of their story?
So my parents were both born in Durango, Mexico. My dad, his background was horses and cattle.
He was a vaquero.
Vaquero, for sure. I remember one time we had our first birthday party. I had a horse so that the little kids can ride the horse. My dad says, let me get on that horse. There's no saddle on this thing. He goes, what do you think?
I don't care.
I
don't need it.
I don't need it. He got on that horse and made it go up and down, gallop about as fast as this thing could go, and I was afraid for him, but he handled it like a vaquero.
Welcome to another episode of East Texas Unfiltered. I'm your host, J. Chad Parker. Today we're going to explore a local restaurateur, a business owner, and a job creator. We've had restaurant people on before, but this one involves multiple restaurants, multiple people, making the community better. There's a lot of issues relevant to his business and himself here today. Mundo, thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure, Chad. Thank you for having me.
Everybody, I think, that has been around Tyler for a while knows who Mundo is. And I wonder, how do you think it is that you became so well known to people far and wide by simply a first name?
Well, it is a unique name. My parents had quite the plan for it, I suppose. But no, there's something funny going around. Everybody wanted a reservation, or everybody calling the restaurant and saying, I know Mundo.
Yeah. And
of course, there's some people out there that want to correct that and say it's Mundo. But I answer to both. I love my name. It's unique. And the fact that we've connected with so many people in the area through the years, I think that knowing that we're in here to serve people and to be kind to people and love on people, in the end, my biggest goal is that when people say my name, that it's with a smile on their face.
Well, I don't think I've ever seen anybody say your name without a smile or without affection when they say Mundo. And, we know the greats in society, Prince, Cher, they're all referred to by their first name only. And I think that might be true for you in the restaurant bar business, kind of, as becoming a local celebrity or well-known person. And did you ever imagine that coming from California?
Well, I don't see any of the above, of course, but it's just being kind to people. And no, I did not see that coming from California. I think that East Texans really take a liking to their people in this area. And it's one of the kindest neighborhoods that we've ever lived in. And we've lived in many through the restaurant business from California, Seattle, Idaho, Utah. And we find that the people in East Texas really put that Southern twist to life and just
and to hospitality, right?
They love on you, and the hospitality, of course. It's what we see, it's what we saw, it's how we were raised. And so for us, moving here from the West, it was like coming home in a big way.
Your outlook, most of the time, that comes from parents and the way people were raised. And you and Carlos seem to have a spirit of a servant, a servant's heart, if you will, friendship, loyalty, and all those things. Tell me about your parents and what kind of folks they were and where y'all grew up.
Well, we grew up in Central Valley, California, in the dairy business. So for those that know the dairy business, you'll understand that
that's hard work.
It's hard work. It's work ethic. You've got to do it even when you don't feel like it, even when you're sick, early, late. And, if you don't do it, the animals don't understand why you didn't get up at 1 a.m. to go milk them. And so usually if you sleep in for some reason, your alarm didn't go off or you shut it off about 5 a.m., they'll let you know. But how our parents raised us, they were tough love. You know, they wanted to make sure that we used yes, sir, no, ma'am, open the door, all of the above. Again, some of the things that we came to East Texas and saw, and we're like, oh, these are the things, you know, in California, sometimes you say yes, sir, to somebody and you actually get in trouble for it.
Yeah.
You sir, my dad. And here's this guy that's my age, doesn't want to be called sir. But the work ethic, you know, learning it from dad, watching him, he put the example out there for us. There were times when he was extremely sick and he'd get up and go work because he had a bunch of little hoodlums running around that needed to be fed and clothed. My mother, you know, we didn't always have the best clothes. We were limited funds, but we always were the cleanest. And I promise you that. My mom made sure of that.
How many brothers and sisters? I know Carlos. How many other siblings do you have?
I'm the oldest. Carlos is the second. And then, so there's 8 of us total.
Okay.
4 boys, 4 girls. And my parents started over when the youngest of 5 was 16, I believe. And of course, I want to say that they thought they could do better. And that's why they started over. I don't know.
And then they had 3 others?
They had 3 more, a boy and a girl, and another girl. But yeah, very close. All of us are very close. And that's something else that our parents taught us and wanted to make sure that we loved on each other unconditionally. So very tight-knit family.
Well, what about your parents? Were they born in the United States? Did they come here? What is kind of their story leading up to the family that they, you know, made with you and your brother?
So my parents were both born in Durango, Mexico, kind of the northern part of Mexico. And my dad growing up, he wanted to look further north, you know, and so they had me, and then my father came to the United States and worked his butt off to raise money and eventually bring us. And so that's why there's a big gap between Carlos and I, with about a 3-year gap. Usually Mexican parents probably get going and they don't stop until they're going to stop.
One every 12, 16 months.
Yeah. But you know, that was my dad's goal, was to give us a better opportunity. And something that my parents always taught us, you know, they would always say, we came to the United States to be better people, to work hard. To this day, my dad has never collected unemployment. You know, he's 76 now, of course, but he's retired. But he never did any of that because of the fact that he wanted to instill in us and show us that we're not here to take, we're here to give. And it made a big difference in us. I can tell you that I've never collected it. So those are little things that matter in the end. And it matters to us, just because we're following and trying to do what Daddy taught us.
Well, certainly, you know, you and your brother, I mean, I mentioned this in the opening, you know, the restaurants, the taxes paid, the jobs, all that is giving back to the city.
Sure.
And in addition to doing something that hopefully you guys really enjoy, which you seem like you do.
You know, I come from, again, so the dairy business. I went into high school.
Was your dad, did he get in that just to have a job, to make a living? Is that why he was in that?
He loves animals. My dad, his background was horses and cattle back in Mexico. And so when he came here, it's what he knew. And it's what he got into and loved it till he retired.
He was a vaquero.
Vaquero, for sure.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because not everybody, you know, when you think of Hispanic people and you think of Mexico, not everybody is working with animals, right? I mean,
Right.
there's
Right.
just like everywhere.
Right. No, there's different professions, of course, but it's what my dad learned from his father, and it's what he loved to do. I remember one time we had our first birthday party for my oldest son, Mundito, and my dad showed up from work, and I had a horse so that the little kids can ride the horse and take pictures and all that. My dad says, "Let me get on that horse. There's no saddle on this thing." I'm like, "Dad, there's no saddle." He goes, "We
He's
think
like, I don't care.
I
I don't need it.
I don't need it." He got on that horse and made it go up and down, gallop about as fast as this thing could go, and I was afraid for him, but he handled it like a vaquero.
Well, did you and Carlos, did y'all graduate from high school in California, or were y'all moving around during this period?
No, we moved around quite a bit, and that was something that my father was working towards. It seemed like every summer around my birthday we were moving, and really Carlos's birthday, because mine's the 31st of August, his is the 2nd of September, and so it seemed like every year we were moving, and we couldn't understand. And
why were you moving? Did you ever learn?
So we did. To tell you the type of father that we have. My dad would land a really good job, and then he would have a brother or a cousin or somebody that needed a job. So he would bring them in, train them,
leave them there and move,
and then tell his boss and say, "Hey, I've got to go, but I've trained my cousin or I've trained my brother." And he would do that for other people. And so finally, I think he realized that was not going to be a good thing as we got into high school. We would complain, "Dad, we just made all these friends. Now we got to move."
I know it.
And one of the things, there's always a lesson with my dad. He said, "You're going to appreciate this one day because you're able to go in to any school and make friends immediately. And that's the lesson that you need to learn today." And at the time, of course, it would be great to keep my friends, but
yeah.
So finally, about high school, he stopped all that and settled in. And we did. Carlos and I both graduated from Turlock High School in Turlock, California.
And then after high school, what year was this you graduated from high school?
I graduated in 87.
Okay, so the year after I graduated, right? 86 for me, 87 for you.
Yeah.
So there is a large gap between 87 and 2007 when you opened Villa Montez, right?
Yes, sir.
What happens in those? Is that 20 years or 30?
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, let's see, 87, 97. Oh, that's 20 years, right? Yeah. What happens? So you're basically 18 and to 38.
Correct.
What is Carlos and Mundo doing during those 20 years?
So after high school, I fell in love with automotive refinishing, and so that's the trade that I picked up, and to this day I still practice it. I still love it. But Carlos went on to college. He wanted to be a minister. He went to college in Seattle. And let me back up a little bit because this is important. Carlos started working for a gentleman by the name of George Delgado, a little restaurant called El Hardin. And he started bussing tables, washing dishes, worked his way into
the kitchen.
And he worked his way into serving. Okay. And when he was 18, he started there, I think, when he was 13 or 14. By the time he was 18, he overheard George saying he wanted to sell the restaurant. He needed to sell the restaurant. He comes home and tells my dad, he goes, "Dad, I want to buy this restaurant. Will you go in business with me?" Here's an 18-year-old kid asking his daddy for his life savings, which wasn't much, but my dad's friends, of course, they're all telling him it's an 18-year-old kid. Like, you can't do this. Like, you're gonna plummet. It's the most failed business in the world.
6 months, most of them don't make it.
That's right. And my dad said, "I'm going to do it because I know my kids will not fail a restaurant for lack of work." And And so Carlos goes into business with my father, and several months into it, the business is picking up and it's flourishing. The guy sold it because it wasn't doing so well, right? And so Carlos would ask me to come in and help him on the weekends. And my mom, which was the chef at the restaurant,
Your mom
became the chef.
Because she didn't work there when Carlos bought it.
Correct. So my mom becomes the chef, and my father becomes her helper.
This is where the Latina cocina comes from.
That's right. That's right. And so anyways, I get asked to come in on the weekends when I'm not working. And the first words out of my mom's mouth was, "Son, you're going to have to smile. You're going to have to be nice to people. Say hello when they come in." Well, I had a different attitude. Working with cattle and working with cars, I mean, you don't really develop those people skills. And so, but slowly I grew to like it and eventually love it. And then I started having a family. So that now you got to break up the pie a little bit differently, right? And so Carlos takes off to school. It kind of left a little more room in the business for us to share that pie. And eventually Carlos marries, and at the time he's working for a gentleman by the name of Manuel Morales. Manuel Morales had some restaurants called Las Margaritas in Seattle, very successful. Carlos actually ended up marrying his daughter.
There's a restaurant called that here in Tyler.
There is, but no relation.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like on Front or
Las
Fifth.
Margaritas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good little restaurant, by the way.
Hey, before we pass the restaurant that Carlos and your dad bought, what was the name of that restaurant?
El Hardin.
And Jardin?
It means the garden.
Okay.
And when my mom and dad took that over with Carlos,
name change?
No. They took that name and they made it a garden because it was just a restaurant called The Garden, but really no garden.
Right.
And so they made it such a garden that people would pass us up thinking that it was a greenhouse, that it was just a flower shop or something. I don't know.
They didn't think it was a restaurant.
No.
You should have put a sign out that said Restaurante.
But no, it became The Garden, El Jardín restaurant in Turlock, California. As a matter of fact, it's still there and thriving.
Now, eventually, did y'all sell that to someone else?
George, I believe, liked what he saw and came back and bought it.
He bought it back.
Yeah.
All right. So Carlos is said to be a chef, and I've always known him to be in the kitchen. Where does that come from? Just experience all through the years, just being in a restaurant?
Correct. I want to say that he's a self-taught, but he's also taken a lot of classes and a lot of course, week-long, 2-week-long, month-long. But he did not graduate from an actual
culinary school.
Yeah.
But hands-on stuff is oftentimes actually better, like anything else. It's better to learn something in real life than learn it in a book.
Yeah. You're right. Carlos has a gift with the palate that not all of us will ever have it. And I'll give you an example. Sometimes when we used to travel, and we did this a lot, we'd travel all over this country, South America, Central America, and I'd run into a dish that I really liked, something that was spectacular. And I'd say, "Tyler needs this." And Carlos would look at me and say, "You like it. I love it." He goes, "But it's not the demographics." He understands, right, demographically speaking, what the community will accept and thrive with.
Right. Well, people that have lived in Tyler, Texas their entire life are probably used to a certain level of taste, and they probably like some things and don't like some things, right? And I don't know, is there a truly authentic Mexican restaurant in Tyler?
There's some really good restaurants in Tyler.
But I'm saying like the authentic, when you're in Mexico type of cuisine, does that really exist, or does it all have a Tex-Mex fusion to it?
No, I think there's some restaurants in this town that can reflect the authenticity of certain items. But you're right. I mean, again, you have to almost conform, just like at Via Montes, for example. When we first came to Tyler, we would go to these restaurants, and Carlos would look around and see what everybody's eating. And he noticed everyone's got queso on the table. And so if you go to Villa Montez, you have a tenderloin with queso on top. And I thought, Carlos, what are you doing? Like queso on top? He goes, believe me, just trust me on this. And of course, it's a very popular item. But that's something that tells us that Carlos is just a student of the game, and he's always watching, and he's always got an ear open, just to make sure that we're offering what people will actually enjoy.
The restaurant business is sometimes described as, the front end and the back end. The back end being the
correct,
the kitchen, and front end being the servers, the hostess, the whatever. I mean, you kind of learned the front end, it sounds like, at El Hardin initially.
Correct.
Is that kind of where it came from for you?
Precisely. I always tell people I got hired at El Hardin to answer the phones and talk to people, and Carlos never let me graduate from there. But it's important to understand both sides, and then of course there's the books that you've got to keep up with, and
taxes.
Absolutely. I would venture out to say that Carlos is one of the best in the industry of not only being able to handle the front of the house, which firsthand, he can handle the front of the house better than anybody, and the kitchen. Do I need to say any more on that?
Right? No, right. I mean, he's full spectrum when it comes to a restaurant.
But you put him in the office, and everything is in order. Everything is getting paid on time, hopefully, right? No, but he's very well rounded. I've always said that if Carlos and I did not work out one day, which I don't see why it wouldn't, because not only is he my brother, he's my business partner, but that guy's my best friend. Also, I've always said if things were one day to not work out, I could not afford a guy of that caliber to partner up and do what we're doing. He's that kind of guy.
I know what you're saying. I mean, like, my wife is that person, okay? She does about 3 jobs, if not more.
Yeah.
Keeps all the books, pays all the bills. I mean, you're right. I'd have to hire like 2 or 3 other people. And, we're very fortunate, right? Because it's really what it is. It's love. That's the foundation of that relationship. And you're lucky that you two can be business partners, right?
I'm privileged. I'm honored, but something that I'd love to share with you. As long as Carlos and I have been in business, you would think that there would be multiple times
disagreements
of the clashing.
A woman, a woman getting in between you. Hey, why is right. Mundo getting all the money?
Right.
Mundo's not even cooking, Carlos.
Exactly right. No, but we've been very fortunate, both of us, that we've not had those incidents arise. And there's a level of respect that we have for each other that I believe keeps us from going there. And again, it's something that my mom and my dad, and I say my because that's the way we say it. I should say our, right?
Right.
But it's our parents instilled that in us and said, "Hey, your business partners, your brothers, hopefully you're also best friends." Well, we are, and that level of respect, if it wasn't there, you can easily, fire off on one another. But we feed off of each other and make sure that if he wants something a certain way and I disagree, I have enough respect and enough trust in him.
Pick your battles.
That I can go in and trust that what he's thinking is the right thing for the business, for the family. But no, I really. I'm his biggest fan.
What about personalities? Are you and Carlos exactly alike, completely opposite? How would you describe y'all's relationship?
We're completely the opposite. I guarantee you could pay him $100,000 to come in and do what we're doing right now. He's very shy. Um, he's a lot more quiet, where I can be a lot more, uh, a little bit out there. I'm not.
But you've kind of been the, the marketer indirectly with your personality with, Tyler Smith County, haven't you?
Again, it kind of just happened. We didn't go in this and saying
I'm gonna be
I'm
the
gonna
guy out
I'm
there, trying to meet people, talk to people.
it just happened. And Chad, I'll tell you, when we came to Tyler, we had just been in Utah where things were going really, really well. Two restaurants, number one and number two restaurant in Logan, Utah.
What size of city is Logan, Utah?
Oh gosh,
Similar to Tyler or a lot bigger or smaller?
It's similar to Tyler in size. But I tell you, we were what I was trying to tell you here is we're there. We're thinking we're finished, moving around, kind of like what Dad did with us. We wanted to settle in, settle down, and in 2005, Super Bowl Sunday, we got in a car accident on our way back from Carlos's home in Idaho. We lived in Utah, just on the other side of the border, a couple hours away. And we got in an accident, and it took the life of our oldest son, Mundito. But I'll tell you, Chad, one of the things that got me that day, before the accident, Mundito was a stud athlete. He wrestled, played football. When I tell you stud, like you know the term stud firsthand.
How old was he when this happened?
He was 13.
All right.
And
I've never heard you say that. I've never heard this story.
Yeah. So at the beginning of the game, Carlos offers me a beer, and I cannot remember the last Super Bowl I didn't have a cocktail. I mean, Super Bowl Sunday, let's have a beer or two, right?
Yeah.
But my son had a wrestling tournament that weekend, and his feet were sore, and he laid across the couch from me and put his size 12 shoe on my thighs and said, "Daddy, can you massage my feet? Daddy, can you massage my hand?" And I felt something so special that my 13-year-old son still loved his daddy enough to be so close, right? And when Carlos offered me that drink, I said, "No, I'm spending time with my boy. This is special right here, man." And we left that evening after the game, and of course we never made it home in one piece. And that, you want to talk about changing your life on a dime. It changed our lives completely. Not only for the business, but the family, of course. So we moved back to California and to heal, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And that was 2005, like I said. In 2007, we found Tyler, Texas, and made that move. And it's got to be one of the best moves we've ever made, unexpectedly, of course. But landing Tyler for us was part of the healing process as well.
How does two guys, I'm assuming looking for a place to go from California, how does Tyler even show up on the map? The restaurant, mansion on the hill, Giuseppe, how does this all even work into you and Carlos's life?
We were looking after the accident. We decided that Logan was not going to be a place to stay because of the memories, and Mundito's mother just definitely did not want to stay there.
Because you just see the place where the accident happened in a city this size all the time.
Yeah. And not only that, but the bus showing up, it literally came in our back door.
And nobody to go out there and get on the bus?
Yeah. So all of those things mattered to us as a family, and I wanted to respect that and honor that, of course. But when we decided we had one more move, Carlos took, and when I say this, he literally took a year off and started doing his research and looking. And when he's calling me from Baltimore and Tampa Bay, I said, Carlos, the furthest I will go with you is Texas. And you got to remember, we always had Texas on the radar. We grew up in a community where lots of farming, right? And I know I'm going all over the map, but you got I know.
Is that why you like Chris Cooper?
I love Chris Cooper. We love the Cowboys. But make a long story short, we grew up in a farming community, right? So dairies. And when I went to school, and we moved around a lot, remember I said that a minute ago, I always used to get made fun of because when the teachers would ask me, well, where are you from, Mundo? And tell us well, I would always say, I'm from Mexico. And the kid that was darker than me would say he was from Texas. He didn't get made fun of, but I did. And so after about 3 or 4 of those moves like that, I got real smart and I started saying I was from Texas. Of course, my mom thought it was hilarious, and she called me her little Texan boy. So through that, we learned to want to know more about Texas, and of course, we fell in love with the Cowboys and the cheerleaders and all of that. And so when I told Carlos, the furthest I'll go with you, Carlos, is Texas. I didn't realize he was going to push me to the edge.
Yeah. East Texas.
But as we were looking and as Carlos did his research, we found Tyler and came and checked out Tyler and loved the fact that we had an opportunity to run a successful business in a smaller community, somewhere where we wanted to raise our family. Had the hospitals, had the schools, college, and we're looking at it as a great opportunity to grow with that community. And so, of course, when we found the mansion.
Well, that's what I wanted to know. When you came, did you visit Tyler without knowing that the mansion was a target?
Correct.
Just to look for potentially you might just lease some retail space and open up your own version of whatever restaurant you.
Correct. We ran into the mansion, and Carlos says, let's go check this place out.
Was it for sale?
It was. But the local community didn't know it at the time because he was trying to market it to Californians and
to another person to come put a restaurant in there.
Correct.
Not just sell the house.
Right. But I think he was trying to market to those areas. If you remember back in 2007, prices in Florida and California were through the roof. And Tyler kind of kept it real. And so anyways.
And then the crash came in 2008.
Correct. But interestingly enough, those numbers at Villa continued to climb. And we were just so happy to have made the right call and come to Tyler, knowing that the task was going to be a tough one. You know, nobody knows you. You're an outsider.
The restaurant's essentially almost to Chapel Hill.
Correct.
Did you understand, not being from Tyler, the peculiarities of the Smith County people, you know, and destination restaurants and people going to the same one over and over and, you know, all the things that happen here? Did you see that when y'all went to buy that mansion on the hill?
We did. And there was a lot of concerns from people from the city when we would say, hey, we're doing this, we're changing the name. And people would literally, hey, Tyler's not growing that way. If you want to be successful, you got to go South Broadway. But you got to remember, that's what Carlos and I have done in previous restaurants. We took a restaurant called Cafe Sabor in Logan, Utah, where it was off the off the busy road as
Support
well.
Flavor Cafe.
That's right.
Oh, I'm good, aren't I?
Oh, you're getting better, man. And so that didn't scare us. The fact that it was a little out of the way, we thought that could be a plus because it becomes a reason for people to come to that side of town. And 2007,
That's
September when we opened. There about November, we were starting to, oh boy, this is a tough one.
What do you mean? Like, hey, there's not that many people coming.
Correct.
It's a slow start for us.
It was a slow start, but when Carlos and I have done these in the past, we do what we call a soft opening. We let people let their friends know instead of throwing an ad on the radio and getting blasted.
Because poor service at the beginning of a restaurant always is an impression that's hard to get rid of.
Yeah, it'll damage you more than, you want to see all that money, but you'd rather take it slowly and surely. And we were able to see a huge difference in December when people were buying gift cards and booking larger groups with
Christmas parties, office parties, that type of thing.
Yeah. A lot of requests for catering. Hey, can you take a party of 20? And we're like, we've got to focus on in-house right now. We've got to get a grip. And it wasn't until year 2 that we started venturing out into the catering aspect of it. But you're right, Chad. If you don't take care of that business, especially in the beginning stages, it'll damage you.
Because I've known good places in Tyler that have gotten off to bad starts because, like you said, the service, they weren't trained, they didn't have enough people, they were trying to get open, and then people would be talking about them for years based on that first experience. And it was a good restaurant.
Yeah, well, it's already a tough business as it is. It seems like you've got so much to defend yourself from, whether it's the weather, whether it's the economy, and so on and so forth.
The holidays,
the summer. There's so many valid excuses on why that business is not doing well, but you've got to hunker down and trust that it'll turn around.
Well, on the mansion, did y'all have to do much work before you occupied the mansion as a hotel? I mean, as a restaurant?
Yeah. So there was a lot of TLC.
It's an old house built in the 30s.
Oh yeah, and it's a continuous. You'll never finish because by the time you get to the end and you think that's it, you've got to start over and start the process again. It feels like a lot of little things that you need to be doing continuously to make sure it's always presentable.
Well, you mentioned the automotive work you did, and I can't help but look at this sign at Villa Montez and wonder if this metalworking is somehow connected to your talents in other areas.
It is, as a matter of fact. When we moved here, I got to tell you this. We were trying to get that front door situated. It was the last thing on our list for health department, fire department, et cetera, et cetera. And I kept running into people not showing or coming and taking a measurement. You never hear back from them. And I thought, man, this door it was a challenge because it's an arch.
Right.
And what we had for that door was a square, And so I called my buddy Paul. I said, if anybody can fix this on the 911, it's going to be Paul. And so Paul has Fusion Metal Artworks. And
is that all he does for a living?
That's it.
And the name of that business is what?
Fusion Metal Artworks.
And do people call Paul for custom things like this sign that we're seeing here, or are there other things other than signs that he makes custom?
No, he's a perfectionist with staircases and of course signage and rails.
Okay, so he welds ornamental iron and things like that as well.
Correct.
All right.
And when you talk about ornamental, like he is the ornamental.
You see nice rails and handrails and staircases. Even at 1836, I think there's some ornamental iron in there, isn't there?
All the metalwork at 1836 was done by Paul. Yeah.
All right, so you got Paul. So Paul fixes the door. The restaurant gets open. We got a slow start, but we get into 2008, right? 2008. How is 2008, 2009? How are we doing, the first year in business at Villa Montez?
So September of 07 is when we opened, and then it was a tough going, but we were okay with that. We knew we had to be persistent, be patient. 08 hits, and all of those gift certificates that we sold in January start getting cashed in, or in December start getting cashed in. January, February leads up to Valentine's Day, and before you know it, on Valentine's Day, we're bombarded. And
so everybody's eating for free.
Right. Technically, but
and they don't tip. Sometimes people misunderstand the tipping thing, right? And they might not tip because they have a gift certificate.
Man, you're in East Texas. I think most East Texans do get it because we didn't feel that
that's good.
From that aspect. But understanding what all those gift cards that we sold in December and realizing, hey, we got to save for a rainy day. That's what saved us, literally.
And the gift cards were given to people who didn't know the place. Correct. And who were then exposed to it, right?
Correct.
And it probably came again, told somebody, and it
was
multiplied.
A snowball effect, and you're nailing it on coffin. And so the restaurant did its first full year in 08. 09 we see an incline. 10 we see an incline. 11 we see an incline, and it was just a gradual, steady pace. And so, it's just been a great move on our part, and we've been so blessed with these Texans.
Well, I mean, I know everybody in the city, government, people that have lived here, they all know you and Carlos. And, I think everybody would agree that y'all are a big part of the community, contributor and friend. And so, we're certainly happy that you're here. You've done nothing other than expand since you've been here. And that ultimately leads us to, I think, 1836 Texas Kitchen, which is, it's kind of a South Tyler real favorite. When did that idea get in you and Carlos's mind to open up a second restaurant?
It wasn't until about the fourth or fifth year in business with Via Montes that we thought, we've got a Latin kitchen.
Right.
And of course, Carlos's mind is always going. And he goes, "We should do a Texas kitchen." And I said, "Well, what does that mean?"
Hey, that's a chicken fried steak.
I know, right? And so Carlos's mind says, "Well, think about it, buddy." He says, "Texas is like a country of its own. If you go to Houston, you're going to have shrimp and grits, little Louisiana flair to them, maybe. You go to El Paso, you're going to have the skillet enchiladas, a little Mexican flair. You go up north, steak and potatoes. East Texas, he goes, there's our menu. And so he got on the ball and started working on it. And when the opportunity came on Old Jacksonville Highway, a guy by the name of Brandon Steele helped us tremendously in getting into that property, which at the time he owned that property out there. So he was very instrumental in getting us in the door, and we're thankful for him.
I guess for people listening who don't know exactly everything about your restaurants, Via Montes is kind of what we call a Latin kitchen, Latin cocina, right? And it seems as if there's a seafood flair to that place, in addition to meat, right, and other Mexican dishes. How would you describe, the menu at Villa Montez versus the menu at 1836 Texas Kitchen?
There's a saying my dad used to use quite a bit. There's a different way to skin a cat every day. But you still see the rice and the beans, which is what we know, right?
Right. I mean, that's a side dish, like fries or chips,
right?
In American cuisine.
But I think that the big difference is the Latin kitchen will encompass something like a carne asada with a mole enchilada, which is very traditional, tan pequeña to the Mexican cuisine, to the chimichurri, which you see on the New York Strip, which is very traditional to Argentina, for example. But you also see a ceviche with a little bit of a Chilean twist, or a Peruvian twist, I should say. I'm sorry. And so that's where the Latin kitchen comes from. It's not just a Mexican,
right? It's not traditional Mexican food that you think about, right?
Right.
It's got the coastlines, I guess the ocean, like you said, of Peru, and the beef of Argentina is kind of what you think about, right?
Right. And then the seafood, when you think of Mexican food, I mean, we've got seafood on both sides of the country, and so
Gulf of Mexico
and the Gulf of America now.
Well, we got that. We got the Pacific Ocean on each side, right?
Yeah. But I think having all those options for a menu for a Latin kitchen, it expands it and gives us a little more freedom to call it a Latin kitchen versus you go to a Mexican restaurant and you're sporting something from Argentina, which is very traditional Argentina, over a steak, and just trying to give and explore something a little different.
Than what people could get in another, Mexican restaurant, down the street, right?
Right. And I think in an effort to keep the confusion from being out there, you've got a mole enchilada and you've got a Peruvian style ceviche. What is it? What are you? Are you Mexican? Or are you? Well, we're not. We're not all of the above.
Hispanic.
We're still Mexican.
Hispanic, right? Hispanic means Spanish speaking.
Correct.
Which would include Central America, South America, and even Spain.
Correct.
To some extent, right?
Correct.
But when you and Carlos see this opportunity, has Carlos kind of thought about this menu before, the retail space becomes available to lease?
He already had, I still find notebooks when we're cleaning out an office or one of the trailers where we've stored stuff. I still find booklets where Carlos has got notes. He must stay up all night because there's a lot of notes out there. So yeah, he worked on that menu for quite some time, and due to our travels and experiences, he kind of makes those notes to be able to remind himself of what he was tasting and what he was liking at the time. So I think by the time 1836 came to a reality, a good portion of that menu was already in stone.
And so it looks like that you, I don't know who's the business person or who's the, if you, Carlos, or both, but it looks like what you mentioned earlier. You said sometimes your adversaries are the weather, the holidays, right? Well, I watch over time the way you expand the patio outside from an uncovered patio to a covered patio to an enclosed patio to some TVs in there, right? I mean, is that part of the thinking to try and put yourself in a position to, work against people not wanting to go in the summer or whenever it else?
Absolutely. For years, when people would come to Villa Montes, is the one thing we always heard: you guys have always got something going on. When we came here last time, those garden beds weren't there. That patio wasn't there, et cetera, et cetera.
Here's the patio. I want to show that patio because I think it's one of the better spaces in the city surrounding area to sit outside, with lights in the trees, especially when the weather's good, have some drinks, dinner, right? I mean, it's a nice spot.
It's a great spot. And just to make sure if the mosquitoes are around, we always provide that. But that's the same thinking that went into 1836 is tried to continuously do a little something, do a little more. One of the things that we believe in is making sure that the business doesn't become stale.
Right, because it gets boring. People like new things.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be as easy as putting those flower beds that we did quite some time ago.
Well, I don't know if you intended it this way, but when you guys talked about, Jardine, the garden, right? I mean,
Correct.
Villa Montez kind of seemed like a garden around the house to me back when initially went very first time.
So, Chad, we come to Tyler, we fall in love with it, and of course, we ran into Villa Montez. Our mother's dream, okay? El Jardín was a small house. The biggest dining room was bigger than our smallest dining room at Villa Montez. It was tiny. And her dream was that one day maybe we can find a mansion, okay? And then it'll be a bigger restaurant. It'll be, you want this. My mom was all about the experience. And so, of course, my mom passed away in 2004. When we walked up those stairs at Via Montes to talk to this man about his restaurant, we literally asked our mother to hold her hand and talk to the man that was owning the restaurant at the time, Mr. Joe Cassini. And she was there. I promise you she was there because it worked.
It would have been, obviously it would have been so nice had she been able to live long enough to come to the restaurant to see what she'd always kind of hoped and envisioned, right?
Yeah. So, there's no doubt that that God had a vision for us.
What about your dad? Where is your dad?
Our father is in California. He's remarried to a wonderful, wonderful woman. Her name is Diana. We love her and talk to my dad every day.
Has he been here to see
he has
what all you and Carlos have developed and amassed?
And he's not able to get out here. He hadn't been here in probably 3 or 4 years, but his health doesn't allow it too much anymore. It's just it beats him up pretty good.
It's hard to travel, man. My mom, I know it's hard for them to move in the car, airplane. It's all.
I got to tell you something about my dad. I called him a few months ago. I've got a 10-month-old baby, right?
Yeah, I knew you had a young one.
Yeah, and
I heard it in the background when I called you.
So I called my father when Roxy and I found out we were pregnant. And of course, I'm so excited. I want the first person to hear it out of my mouth is my dad. And I called my dad and I said, Dad, you're going to be a grandpa again. And he's busy and I can tell in the background, oh, okay. All right, buddy. Well, hey, I'll talk to you later, huh? That's all I got. And so for a second, I thought that was awkward. That was really weird. That's not what I was expecting, right? Because my dad is always so positive. And so one of those days I'm headed down to San Antonio. One of those days where you hang up and your dad's supposed to hang up, but nobody hung up. And I can hear him over my speaker in my truck. Diana!
Yeah.
Hey, I just got off the phone with Mundo, and he says Esteban's having a baby. I never once said Esteban, but I don't think he processed it loud and clear.
And how old was Esteban at the time? And did that affect his reaction?
Well,
was Esteban younger?
No. This was just last year.
Oh, okay. So
this was in an effort to communicate with my dad that I was expecting Matias, which is 10 months old. So this was just so Esteban was definitely old enough to have a child. He's 27 right now. But no, one of those things where kind of backfired on me a little bit because he couldn't believe an old man like me was old, young enough to have another baby, I guess.
You mentioned Esteban. Esteban, he was here and then he was not here and now he's back here. Is that right?
Correct.
Because, I'm not sure. The first time I may have met you may have been at Golden Road at the baseball
park.
The
ballpark.
And I may have learned about the restaurant and you through that. I'm thinking because I coached Esteban one year when he was here for the summer or something.
Correct.
Because,
you got a good memory.
Well, I remember he was smaller, but he was fast. That's what I remember about him.
Yeah.
And, his name, everybody else's name on the back was Smith, Parker, and it was Villapudua or something, right?
Villapudua.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was a scrappy little guy. He was one of the better players, but I remember you standing out there by the fence, at practice or whatever. And I never knew what happened to Esteban. And then later on, I guess he came back.
His mom lived in California, and so he would go back to visit mom, and then stay for a year of school there, and then come back, and which was tough.
Right.
We've gone through this with the same conversation. It's tough on kids, especially when they get a little older into high school. That's definitely not recommended.
If you can avoid it.
If you can avoid it, for sure.
But, what's nice, and of course I have a son, Esteban's age, Zach, 27, to kind of work with him, which you get a chance to work with Esteban sometimes, I guess.
All the time.
I'm sure he helps out or does something. He's probably into other things as well, but.
I'm very proud of Esteban. He helps at the restaurant when we need him, and he's more than willing to come out and give us a hand. He's got a little company with Paul and I in the powder coating business. So Paul does all the metal signs, and almost called my son Carlos. Esteban works at the shop powder coating.
I mean, do you have additional family members that help out with the restaurants, that live here or that have come here since you guys have, been successful?
So when we moved out here, we had Crystal. She's actually a DJ in the Shreveport market, very, very successful with it. La Chica is her name. And our brother Andrew, which lives in Seattle now. So both of them were very instrumental in bringing that good vibe to the tables, and they're both very, very good with people. We now have Mario on our team. He moved out here about a year and a half ago from Utah. Mario's a little younger than Carlos, and so we're very proud to have the triplets back in town together.
1836, I mean, you've expanded that patio and enclosed it, and I've also seen a food truck of some kind or two. I'm not sure. Is there a food truck, a family member, somebody that's associated with any of that?
I'm glad you brought that up, because speaking of being proud, I'm proud of all of my kids. Every single one of them has made Daddy so proud. But Stephanie, my daughter, you can't outwork her, man. She's just a vibrant young lady that has a vision, and so that's her food truck. And she comes up with her own little recipes. She loves to cook and loves to share with people, and so what a better spot than to have a food truck where you can actually go get a margarita or go get a beer while you wait on your tacos or your sopes or.
Yeah, because, I mean, I think there was some type of Tuesday thing that she would do kind of in connection with the restaurant where people would come and would they get tacos from her and drink a margarita or a beer from your place, right?
Correct.
I mean, it's also very fulfilling as a parent, I would think, to do anything you can to help your children be successful, right?
Amen, brother.
I mean, most of us, we don't mind, taking a little if it's helping somebody that's part of us, right?
That's right.
Now I've seen Taco Wagon. Is that her or is that something different that you guys offer or do? You know what I'm talking about? And kind of under the catering umbrella.
So yeah, under the catering umbrella, I mean, I can name off all kinds of equipment that we bring out, but that Taco Wagon is literally a wagon.
It's like a wagon from the Old West.
Well, no, not quite that beautiful, but no, we and
a shaggin' wagon, an old van. Carlos drives up in a van.
And Carlos would not be the one to pull.
Open.
He'd be the shy one. Remember?
That's right. Okay, you're driving that.
Exactly. You first, Mundo. No, it's not a covered wagon
We're
like
not
you
crossing the West.
we're not trying to cross the West again, or the Rio Grande again.
It's the bed of a pickup with a trailer hitch?
No, man, it's so I bought this thing from a guy that used to be a vendor at Home Depot, and he did a lot of hot dogs and burgers through that. And so when we bought that, Carlos said, "What is this?"
Taco wagon.
I said, "It's a taco wagon now, man."
It's kind of like a little bitty thing, right?
It's you pull it behind a truck. It's heavy enough. You need a vehicle to pull. But it's unique in that, you got an open flame, and you're able to kind of get in there and do your magic with a small group or a large group.
Is that what you do? You offer that to maybe take to some kind of gathering or function?
Correct.
And it just makes tacos, and it's kind of a self-enclosed where you have all the ingredients and you can cook on it and all that type.
This one is more open air, so you can't really hide behind the scenes. You got to stand there with it and grill, and it's people find it unique and find it interesting. And
yeah, I mean, I didn't know of that until I was kind of looking into you and some of the details for the show. And I wonder if people were thinking about that. I mean, is there a number of X people to X people that this is generally, rented or leased for?
That one typically 50 to 150 people. It can handle the bulk, and if there's a lot of creativity that goes behind an expansion. If somebody had a larger group, it can certainly be done, but that's more common for the smaller groups.
If somebody wanted to have the taco wagon brought to their business for their employees or a function, what would they expect to pay? Would it be, I'm going to pay X dollars to get it there? Am I going to pay for the tacos? How does that work?
So typically there's a minimum to pull the equipment out of the warehouse. You can expect to spend about $1,200 minimum to pull, whether it's the taco wagon or the food truck. And typically something like that, you can feed 50 people, and if you do the math, it's you still have room to bring more.
Okay. Your catering business, we know you from what you've told us. You handled Villa Montez and wanted to take care of the foundation first. And then as you got comfortable, probably made relationships with other people that could serve and work, you got into the catering, right?
Yes, sir.
How would you describe, your catering business, say from 2010 to where we are today?
It has grown quite a bit. When we first started doing the caterings, we were doing a group of 50, a group of 150, and then those 150 grew to 300. And now, we're able to do large groups. We actually, I think I was telling you this earlier, we begged and we asked that we got cattle barons, and they were a little skeptical, of course, in the beginning for all the right reasons. You don't want to take an event like cattle barons where people pay a big ticket to get in there, and then somebody drops the ball, and so they finally gave us an opportunity.
Did y'all get food and liquor, the bars?
Just the food.
Okay, just the food.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have both, don't you?
We've always actually, when we started doing the food, I asked for the bars, but there's another restaurant in town that does the bars, and Dakotas, as a matter of fact, great friends of ours, super people. And so I had asked if we could do a specialty cocktail. And so that's why you see us doing a bar, because we've done a specialty cocktail for the event.
Okay, so you're not actually serving freestyle drinks. They're kind of a pre-selected, we're going to have
Correct.
a ranch water, we're going to have a margarita, right?
Yeah, one year we did what we called a roadside refresher. They wanted to use Jack Daniels. I think I don't know if they had some kind of sponsorship through Jack, but we did a roadside refresher, and that seems to be one of the more popular ones through the years. That did really well.
I mean, does the liquor license does it move with your catering business? So when you go out, to these events, that you can do that? Is that how that actually functions?
Correct. You've got to.
Is that the same with the taco wagon?
You've got to spend. Yeah, it is.
I mean, like somebody said, "Hey, I want you to bring everything. I want this to be a good time for my people. I want them to eat, be able to drink some beers, some margaritas, whatever. You could bring it all."
And it's a certain license you've got to apply for to be able to move with you in the state of Texas. And so, for those of us that get in the business, you've got to make sure it's the right license.
But I mean, I'm sure you've done that since you've been doing this.
Correct.
I don't think people think enough about that, about how you could bring the function to themselves, right? With these mobile, liquor license, food. I mean, you've got everything but the music coming over. I guess we could call Las Chicas and bring them in.
That's right. Matter of fact, she just did an event for us. As far as the license, and I was telling you, we can talk about so much of the equipment that we're able to drag out. I mean, to be able to bring a tap system already in a trailer, already in a refrigerated unit, and park out in the middle of a horse ranch and serve tacos and serve steaks and serve beer, and we can customize it and serve margaritas out of it. There's a lot to be said about a unit like that that'll give you that freedom, right?
I mean, I've thought of just talking to you of bringing you to my new office when it opens or something, or even just for my employees. I mean, just as kind of a treat or something different. And so I'm glad we've explored that, because I mean, I really thought of the catering more as just, you had mistletoe and magic, or you had something and you got something way broader than that, it sounds like.
We can get pretty creative. And a lot of times, you're just a mile away from an expansion, and you just got to continue to keep thinking of how we can do things better.
I mean, you guys have always, since 1836, seemed to have thought expansion, because, there was the foray into White House, which I know you've sold that, right?
Correct.
But there's also, you guys are associated with Humo. I'm not sure. Sir. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong.
You did just fine. You would say Humo, I'll say Humo.
Okay, Humo. Isn't it ironic that you're in the spot of the remnant of El Charros, right? El Charro on the Ridge.
Correct.
Which comes from El Charro. We go all the way back to Irwin and Old El Charro, and the new one that was torn down for a car wreck. And now, Manny's is kind of the last piece of that, right? Yeah. That's kind of like the old Tyler people's Mexican food, wouldn't you say?
I would say so.
I mean, it just seems like
I think you're right. Of course, Manny's is doing a good job down there with his restaurant. How far do they go back? I keep hearing like the mid-30s.
I think the original parents, go way back, like in the 30s when they opened up that old El Charros. Yeah. Because it's kind of like you guys as brothers, if you want to look at it that way. Imagine Mr. and Mrs. El Charro, but it was Ramirez.
The Ramirez family.
That's right. The Ramirez open up on East Irwin, which is basically out of town.
It's kind of
like you and Carlos did at Villa Montez to get their start.
Correct.
And then moved into Fifth Street at one point, when they had that one. But that always, like Tyler people, you'd never see them going to Mercado. Right. I mean, they always, or at least the old Tyler.
Right.
People that were here in the 70s and the early 80s.
It was El Charro always.
And they were used to going to, El Charros or something like it, as opposed to, the other kinds.
J.B. Smith, for a long time had asked, Mundo, he goes, you need the old El Charro building. Like, let's redo that one and bring.
It's been for sale.
He says it's been part of Tyler since Tyler was born, pretty much.
No, and the price has gone down. I've been watching it.
Have you?
It started at over $1 million. It's now $325,000 for that entire acre, 1 point something property and that building.
Wow.
Now the building probably needs to be demolished, or at least save the facade. You know what I'm saying?
Most likely.
I keep thinking somebody out of pure nostalgia is going to buy that building for the old days, right?
Maybe we need to call JB right now.
Yeah, I don't know. JB is more of a talker than a man of action.
I didn't say that.
No, I can say it to him because he's been on the show and he's a great guy. But, so how do we separate Humo in its cuisine and its menu from the other two restaurants, if we can?
I think with Humo, Carlos's wife, Chelly, comes from a family of restaurants, very successful. I mentioned to you Mr. Manuel Morales, which my brother and I are both extremely thankful for the opportunities he gave us.
That's her father?
That's her father. And Chelly is actually a fantastic cook herself. And so I think that
it's a natural fit, huh?
It was a natural fit for them to get in there. And matter of fact, if you go there, you see Maria's chicken and you see Chelly's sauce. And so a lot of that has her infusion into it. And the fact that we always thought that Tyler needed something a little more, leaning more on the Mexican side of things. I think that's what you'll get there. You'll get a little harder feel of the Mexican cuisine.
Closer to more authentic Mexican food.
Correct.
All right. Now, a restaurant, when you think of a restaurant, you can't help but think about running a restaurant and the challenges of employees, training. How is that for you guys? I mean, getting people to show up, younger people that maybe aren't as inclined to work ethic as your father.
Right. It does become a challenge a lot of the time, but something that has really helped my brother and I is we have surrounded ourselves with a really hardcore group of people that do have those values and do have that work ethic and do actually need that job. And because of that core group, we're able to instill that into the others that are coming in, the young guns that are coming in. And so it's not just Carlos and I trying to, talk behind their ear and say, hey, you got to pick it up. It's that core group. When they see the youngins, not doing what they're supposed to, they'll speak up. So it helps to have that kind of a crew, and even like our catering department, which we have our own specific staff members for that, so that we're not trying to steal a bartender.
Right, you can't rob from the restaurant every time you get a catering gig.
Correct.
Because otherwise
you weaken one to strengthen the other. So it goes all the way down to, or all the way up, however you want to look at it, to our catering department. A very hardcore group of ladies that keep that unit running. And we can have a catering of 500 people, for instance. As long as we have that core group there, you can send me 20 new ones, and those 10 seasoned ones are going to keep the machine running smooth.
If somebody watching this and wants to have, any catering of large to small to Taco Wagon, how would they reach out to you guys to find themselves, to a caterer to talk to about what they might want?
A couple different ways. They can call me directly, 903-363-4111. And
do you care, or do you want us to put that phone number up in the show?
Sure.
After, in case somebody watches this and they didn't catch that number and they, I don't want to get you out there now where you're getting calls all the time, but
Chad, what if I had to hand this over to a full-time employee because of your show, man? That's
well, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I want it to be easier for people who are saying, you know what, I just never think this is possible to have this at my house or my business.
Sure. The other option would be reservations at viamontes.com. Or they can email mundo@viamontes.com. Carlos at viamontes.com.
And just type in the email what they're looking for, what they'd like to have.
Correct.
Somebody will call them back.
Give us an idea of what they're looking for, and simple enough.
All right. So you've kind of got the two restaurants set up pretty well with, sounds like Carlos's wife is heavy into Humo. You've got the catering. Any plans for future expansion, a project of something different,
The opportunities have come our way, and we've held back. Okay, we almost pulled the trigger on something recently.
Is it a secret or breaking news?
It's a secret because it didn't happen.
Oh.
But
could it give me a window into the mind of Carlos and Mundo?
I know, right?
As to what it was?
Well, Carlos loves, one of his favorite foods is pizza. Okay, but he's always wanted to have a spot like that, and like I said, opportunities have come our way from
straight
different
pizza
angles.
Or Mexican pizza or what?
He's an authentic pure pizza. Of course, the menu would be, let's not talk about that.
Okay,
but
well,
only because
we know pizzas are popular because what we've seen is Lost Pizza coming into Burkeville Center, and we've seen Pizza Ranch filling in for Gaddy's over there, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So, but again, I don't know what Lost Pizza is going to be, but there is no real authentic pizza place that I know of.
Well, and the idea would be to do the pizza with a full bar. There's a need for that.
Right. CC's Pizza and all the crying kids is really not for me. And I don't want the arcade either.
Exactly. But no, we've had to be very careful, very thoughtful. And if the right opportunity came our way, the stars would have to line up.
Right.
We're getting older. And we're not trying to get ourselves in a situation we can't get out of at this part of our life.
And to me, I'm not familiar with this, but the one thing that I see that is hard sometimes are leases, long-term leases. When you're trying something and, the strip center, the landlord is pulling for you, they don't all work out. So it's tough to even make a move if you say, I've got to sign a 5-year lease, I would think.
Oh, it's tough. And with the pricing in Tyler,
999
Texas,
and all these greedy landlords, I'm just going to say it, okay? I'm just going to say it. I can't believe what they make tenants pay for just to lease some space.
It's a tough going right now. You see a lot of places paying, 20, 30 grand a month.
That's all the tacos that have got to get sold and all the enchiladas
before you buy yourself a glass of water
or pay an employee.
Yeah.
Right.
It's but it's the other side of the business that as a business owner you have to make sure that everything's going to line up.
That's what's good about the catering.
Yeah, the catering.
We don't have a brick and mortar to come out of.
Well, the beautiful thing about the catering is that most of your cost is already, the lights are already on.
Right. You're working out of that kitchen over at 1836.
Most of the employees, are already in the clock, but there's still quite a bit that goes into it. Besides the rent already being paid, the lights already be on. You for a big event, you've got to bring in the extra help, and the ones that are there are all of a sudden working on overtime because they're maxed out on time already. But yeah, it's just a chemistry. You just got to make it all work.
Well, y'all have been making it work. The other thing that we really haven't talked about that, is kind of the elephant in the room is that you and Carlos and your parents, they are Hispanic, right?
Correct.
And their connection with some part of the community is different than some of the people watching this show. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I mean, you have relationships, you have understandings, you have history that not all of us have with some of the people that are here, that work here and contribute here each and every day, right?
Yes, sir.
I saw you, and this is when I called you. I saw you at that press conference in November 2025, where, there was a reaction to what was happening with the task force model.
Yes, sir.
And what was funny, not really funny, but interesting, was you had, home builders, hotel owners, you had a lot of people that were not Hispanic that were, trying to get an understanding or a handle on what we were about to get into, right? Because people were panicking.
Correct.
Did you feel any of that panic with people that you knew or people in your orbit in any way, that caused you to have concern?
One of the things that my brother and I talked about when all this was happening is whatever you as the owner expresses and starts letting out, and if you start throwing out the fear and the panic, well, it's only natural that your staff
will be feared and panic.
And even to a point where you just have to sit back and say, look, guys, it's happening. It's not something that's going to go away. If you don't have anything to fear, quit panicking. I mean, I was talking to people that were born here.
Right. Panicking. I mean, people that were U.S. citizens and they were scared.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
yeah.
I think, the task force model is unfortunate for Smith County, in my opinion. It's not present in Longview. There's only 4 or 5 entities, I think, that's even elected the task force model, right? Everything predominantly stayed with the jail model, which meant if somebody was arrested for a crime and they had an ICE detainer hold, then they were dealt with at the jail, right?
Correct.
And that kind of kept, that was a natural scoop. If you were a bad criminal, chances are you were going to end up in jail and you were going to get scooped up.
Correct.
But, I don't know why we signed on, because my research says that the municipalities didn't even have to declare or sign anything till December of this year. And so I'm happy, and I know you are, that it seems like there's, cooler heads have prevailed and there's been a calming down period after November. Do you feel like that's happened?
I feel so. I feel that things are probably not back to normal, but I see that people are getting out a little more. They're a little more. There's a great place I'd love to visit in the mornings out on Beckham, Panaderia Nuevo León. And that place was
empty,
packed every day, right?
Yeah.
And when all this started happening, I felt terrible for them. So I actually started going more to support them.
Yeah, you're to support the restaurant.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I love to see that the people are living their lives. No way to live, locked up in somebody's room.
Well, I mean, and that's, if people are honest, which, I don't know that we can count on politicians to be extremely honest or, at least sincerely honest, because their reaction is to the most, strident part of their party, either side, left or right, right? But people from Mexico, ever since I can remember, have generally been kind of quietly invited here without any repercussions or enforcement, right? And when you do that for 30 years, it's not like people are thinking that they shouldn't do it, right? Especially when the jobs and the hotels in Las Vegas and every place else in the country is happily bringing them in and hiring them because we need them, right?
Sure.
I did a show with Nancy Rangel. It's like, Hispanics, family-oriented, hardworking. It's like, why wouldn't you want people here that way? And I know all of this puts you in a difficult position, which is what I hate the most. is that people can't have opinions, but they can't really express them. If those opinions may offend other people, may hurt business, it's a it's a it's a it's a it's a it's a fine line for you to walk. Isn't it, Mundo? Do you feel it?
It really is. You don't want to.
You love this country. You love Tyler, Texas, right? But at the same time, and love people that work hard, that have no ill intention for anything, right? And this is trying times.
It is. These are trying times for sure. I guess that I feel such love for our staff, whether
mine too.
Whether you've been with me for 6 months or 20 years, right? There's a connection that comes in the trust, and it's sad to see them fearing. Okay.
Yeah.
And again, some of them that were fearing, I'm like, so did you? Last I saw, you're a U.S. citizen, man.
Right.
But it's interesting because, like I told you earlier, like if we show them fear and we show them the panic, then everybody. But because they panic between each other, then some of them start to feel that same friction. But I think those that have worked with us, like one of the best advice we've been able to give them and let them know is like, if you don't owe this country something or a reason for you to get locked up, you shouldn't be scared. You shouldn't be afraid. It's the people that, the way I understood it is the people that owe this country a visit to the court system that are getting snatched up, right? That are getting taken in. Along the way, I'm sure that the people that the good, hardworking people that's what they do is show up for work on time and give us an all day worth of work. They may be caught up in something or wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, it's something that will likely not ever happen to me, right? I'll never accidentally get caught up with extra family members, right? I mean, I can't say that I know how that feels, right? Because I know that's not going to happen to me, right? And that's not true for probably people that you know and you're close to, right?
Amen.
Well, I think Texas and Mexico have a special relationship that should be looked at differently, than say, if I was living in Maine and there were 60,000 people that just showed up from nowhere, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I just think that's a different situation than the way Texas, its economy and the way things have always worked. You know what I'm saying?
No, I get it. But, all that being said, I hate to see what's happening in Mexico right now, because that only reassures
people that they want to get up here.
Yeah.
Right.
And, and that just, it reassures what our government is doing right now to enforce these laws. I mean, I don't want to be,
you don't want to be shook down. You don't want to be threatened. You don't want corruption in this country to be like corruption maybe in Mexico.
Right.
Right. And it's the mordida, everything, right?
That mordida will get you every time.
Right. I mean, right. You gotta pay to move, right? To do anything.
Yeah.
We don't want that here. And I think the fear of some of that coming here over the last several years may have, driven us to this point politically. Don't you think that has something to do with it?
Oh yeah. In the end, it was coming sooner or later, I think. Don't you?
Well, I think whenever something bad happens, generally people look for the scapegoat, the cause, the reason, whatever. People debate about what that might be, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I do think that, with no objection to people immigrating here at all, that is me, that a completely open border, if you're going to be honest, could be very dangerous to national security, if not threatening to institutions like schools, hospitals, if it's not managed properly.
I agree.
Right? I mean,
100%.
I mean, I think the politicians all of them are to blame because, you know, the Congress has done nothing to deal with DACA, right? Kids that have been here essentially their whole life and don't know anything other than America. They've done nothing to except have them pay a $400 fee every 4 years to reapply. They've done nothing to find a pathway forward for the people who are business owners, contributors, employing people. I mean, right? I mean, there hadn't been any law that I know of,
and that's where we're lacking a little bit. You know, you mentioned
you're too
DACA.
kind.
Well, a lot, but you know, you mentioned DACA. You know, I know so many kids that have worked for me.
I'm sure you do,
and it's sad to see it not going anywhere productive with them, you know, or for them. So, but yeah, there's I've said it before, you know, people that have been here, not just DACA, but people that have been here doing the right things all along. People that own their own homes outright.
They could lose ground accidentally if, you know.
And all of a sudden things are crumbling. So that's the scary part, I think, for so many. I
mean, a day without a person from Mexico in the Texas economy, you know, what does that look like, right? I mean, does anything even move? You know, I mean, I love to think about that when people say things that they say that I think are born out of fear and not really thinking about what they're saying, you know? And I know it's not funny to you, but I know you have to believe that's got to be true.
No, there's a lot of truth to that. You know, I
mean, I have not seen many crews in the housing industry for most of the trades that are not Hispanic.
There's a lot of talented people out there in those fields, and you'd hate to see the values of homes go
way
upward,
up, and the wait times to get them built go way right.
So,
I know we're getting off into this, but you're a Hispanic business owner with roots from Mexico. I know this is, you know, was difficult for you because you were at the press conference, which is what started my conversation with you about this, right? I mean, you stepped forward to comment very respectfully. It seemed to be asking people to think about what they are doing. I mean, was that your intention?
That was.
So it so moved me, an immovable object, but that I called you, didn't I?
You did.
And I said, hey, man, and there was a screaming kid in the background. I was like, what in the world? But I just called you. I just said, hey, man, I just really was moved by what you said there. And
I appreciate that phone call. It meant a lot to me coming from you, Chad, for sure.
Right, because if I was in your shoes, I don't know what I would do. I would hope I did what you did, which is if roles were completely reversed. My family members extended, some of them are not legal. Some of them, their paperwork's not good. I've got a good business going. Am I going to say anything or not? Right? And you did. And I think that speaks to who you are, why so many people love you and Tyler, and why I'm so thankful you came on the show today. Thanks for being here, Mundo.
Thank you so much, Chad. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, my time right